The Magic Finger by Roald Dahl. The farm next to ours is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Greig. The Greig have 2 children, both of them boys. Their names are Philip and William. Sometimes I go over to their farm to play with them. I am a girl and I am 8 years old. Philip is also 8 years old. William is 3 years older. He is 10. What? Oh, all right then. He is 11. Last week, something very funny happens to the Greek family. I am going to tell you about it as best I can. Now, the one thing that Mr. Greig and his 2 boys loved to do more than anything else was to go hunting. Every Saturday morning, they would take their guns and go off into the woods to look for animals and birds to shoot. Even Philip, who was only 8 years old, had a gun of his own. I can't stand hunting. I just can't stand it. I don't seem right to that men and boys will kill animals just for the fun they got out of it. So I used to try to stop Philip and William from doing it. Every time I went over to their farm, I would do my best to talk them out of it. But they only laugh at me. I even said something about it once to Mr. Greig, but he just walked on past me as if I weren't there. Then, one Saturday morning, I saw Philip and William coming out of the woods with their father, and they were carrying a lovely young deer. This made me so cross that I started shouting at them. The boys laughed and made a face at me, and Mr. Greig told me to go home and mind my own P's and Q's. Well, that did it. I saw red, and before I was able to stop myself, I did something I never meant to do. I put the magic finger on them all. Oh dear, I even put it on Mrs. Greig, who wasn't there. I put it on the whole Greek family. For months, I had been telling myself that I would never put the magic finger on anyone again. Not for what had happened to my teacher. Oh, Miss Winter, poor old Miss Winter. One day, we were in class, and she was teaching us spelling. Stand up, she says to me, and spell cat. That's an easy one, I says, K-A-T. You are a stupid little girl, Mr. Winter says. I am not a stupid little girl, I cried. I am a very nice little girl. Go and stand in the corner, Miss Winter says. Magic finger. Then I got cross and I saw red, and I put the magic finger on Miss Winter, go and strong, and almost at once, guess what? Whiskers began growing out of her face. They were long black whiskers, just like the one you see on a cat, only much bigger. And how fast they grew! Before we had time to think, they were out of her ears. Of course, the whole class started screaming with laughter. And then Mr. Winter says, "Would you be so kind as to tell me what you find so madly funny, all of you?" And then she turned around to write something on the blackboard. We saw that she had grown a tail as well. She was a huge bushy tail. It was a huge bushy tail. I kind of began to tell you what happened after that. But if any of you were wondering whether Mrs. Winter is quite all right again now, the answer is no, and she never will be. The magic finger is something I have been able to do all my life. I can't tell you just how I do it because I don't even know myself. But it always happens when I got cross and I see red. Then I get very, very hot all over. Then a tip of the forefinger of my right hand began to tingle most terribly, and suddenly a sort of flash came out of me, a pink flash, like something electric. It jumped out and touched the person who has made me cross. And after that, the magic finger is often him or her, and things began to happen. Well, the magic finger was now often the whole of Greek family. And there was no taking it off again. I ran home and waited for things to happen. They happened fast. I shall now tell you what those things are. I got the whole story from Philip and William the next morning, after it was all over. In the afternoon of the very same day that I put the magic finger on the Greek family, Mr. Greek and Philip and William went out hunting once again. This time, they were going after wild ducks, so they headed towards the lake. In the first hour, they got 10 birds. In the next hour, they got another 6. What a day, cried Mr. Greek. This is the best yet. He was beside himself with joy. Just then, 4 more wild ducks flew over their heads. They were flying very low. They were easy to hit. Bang, 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 bang went the guns. Ducks flew on. We missed, said Mr. Greek. That's funny. Then everyone was surprised. The 4 ducks turned around and come flying right back to the guns. Hey, said Mr. Greek. What else they are doing? They were really asking for it this time. He shooted at them again. So did the boys. And again, they all missed. Mr. Greek got very red in the face. It's late, he says. It's getting too dark to see. Let's go home. So they started for home, carrying with them the 16 birds they had shot before. But the 4 ducks would not leave them alone. They began flying around and around the hunters as they walked away. Mr. Greek did not like it one bit. Be off, he cried, and he shot at them many more times. But it was no good. He simply could not hit them. All the way home, the 4 ducks flew around in the sky above their heads, and nothing would make them go away. Late at night, after Philip and William had gone to bed, Mr. Greek went outside to get some wood for the fire. He was crossing the yard when all at once he heard the call of the wild ducks in the sky. He stopped and looked up. The night was very still. There was a thin yellow moon over the trees on the hill, and the sky was filled with stars. Then Mr. Greek had the noise of wings flying low over his head, and he saw the 4 ducks against the night sky, flying very close together. They were going around and around the house. Mr. Greek forgot all the firewood and hurried back indoors. He was now quite afraid. He did not like what was going on, but he says nothing about it to Miss Greek. All he said was, "Come on, let's go to bed. I feel tired." So they went to bed and to sleep. When morning came, Mr. Greig was the first to wake up. He opened his eyes. He was about to put out a hand for his watch to see the time, but his hand didn't come out. That's funny, he says. Where is my hand? He lay wondering what was up. Maybe he had heart that hand so in some way. He turned the other hand. That didn't come out either. He sat up. Then, for the first thing, he saw what it looked like. He gave a yell and jumped out of bed. Miss Greig woke up, and then she saw Mr. Greig standing on the floor. She gave a yell too, for he was now a tiny little man. He was maybe as tall as the stand of chair, but no taller. And there his arms had been. He had a pair of dog's wings instead. But, cried Mr. Greig, Miss Greig, going purple in the face. My dear man, what's happened to you? What's happened to both of us, you mean? Shouted Mr. Greig. It was Miss Greig's turn now to jump out of bed. He ran to look at herself in the glass, but she was not tall enough to see into it. She was even smaller than Mr. Greig, and she too had got wings instead of one. Oh, sobbed Miss Greig. This is what's work, cried Mr. Greig, and both of them started running around the room, flapping their wings. A moment later, Philip and William burst in. The same thing had happened to them. They had wings and arms. They were really tiny. They were about as big as a ribbon. Mama, cried Philip. Look, Mama, we're gonna fly. And they flew up into the air. Come down at once, said Mrs. Greig. You're much too high. But before she could say another word, Philip and William had flown right out the window. Mr. and Mrs. Greig ran to the window and looked out. The two tiny boys were now high up in the sky. Then Miss Greig says to Mr. Greig, do you think we could do that, my dear? I didn't see why not. Mr. Greig says, come on, let's try. Mr. Greig began to flap his wings hard, and all at once off he went. Then Mrs. Greig did the same. Help! She cried as she started going on. Save me! Come on! Said Mr. Greig. Not be afraid. So out the window they flew up into the sky, and it did not take them long to catch up with Philip and William. Soon, the whole family was flying around together. Oh, isn't it lovely, cried William. I've always wanted to know what it feels like to be a bird. Your wings are not getting tired, are they? Mr. Greig asked Mrs. Greig. Not at all, Miss Greig says. I could go on forever. Hey, look out there, said Philip. Someone is walking in our garden. They all looked down, and there below them and there on the garden, they saw 4 enormous wild ducks. The ducks were as big as men, and what is more, they had great long arms like men instead of wings. The ducks were walking into the line to the door of the Greig house, swinging out their arms and holding their beaks high up there. Stop! Called the tiny Mr. Greig, flying down a low of the house. Go away! That's my house. The duck looked up and quacked. The first one puts out a hand and opened the door of the house at once. The other went and ordered him. After him, the judge. The Greek flew down and said the world needed it. Mr. Greek began to cry. Oh dear, she sobbed. They have taken our house. What shall we do? We have no place to go. Even the boys began to cry a bit. Now, we will be eaten by cats and fox. And the night, said Philip. I want to sleep in my own bed, said William, crying. That wouldn't help us. Shall I tell you what we are going to do? What? They said. Mr. Greek looked them and smiled. We are going to build a nest. A nest? They said, we do that? We must do it, says Mr. Greek. We've got to have somewhere to sleep. Follow me. They flew up the tall tree. All night at the top of it, Mr. Greek chose the place for the nest. No, we want sticks, he says. A lot of little sticks. Off you go, all of you, and find them and bring them back here. But we have no hands, says Philip. Then use your mouth. Mr. Greek, Miss Greek, and the children flew off. Soon they were back, carrying sticks in their mouths. Mr. Greek looked at the sticks and started to build a nest. More, he said, and more sticks kept going. The nest began to grow. Mr. Greek was very good at making the sticks together. After a while, he says, that's enough sticks. Now we want leaves and feathers and things like that we make to inside nice and soft. The building of the nest went on. It took a long time, but at last it was finished. Try it, says Mr. Greek, hopping back. He was very pleased with his work. Oh, isn't it lovely? Cried Miss Greek, going into it and sitting down. I fear I might lay an egg at moments. The other all got in beside her. How warm it is, said William. It was fun to be living so high up, said Philip. We may be small, but nobody can hurt us up there. But what about food, said Mrs. Greek. We didn't have a thing to eat, so they. That's right, Mr. Greek said. So we will now fly back to the house and go in by an open window and get some of biscuits to the dogs and looking. Oh, we will pick a bit today, the dirty great dogs, cried Miss Green. We should be very careful, my love, says Mr. Green. And off they went. But when they got to the house, they have all the window and door closed. There was no one in. Just look at the beastly dog cooking in my stove, cried Miss Gregg as she flew past the kitchen window. How dare she! And look at that one holding my lovely gun, shouted Mr. Gregg. One of them is laying in my bed, yelled William, looking into the top window. And one of them is playing with the electric train, cried Polly. Oh dear, said Mr. Gregg. They have taken out our whole house. We shall never be back. And what are we going to eat? I will not eat them, said Philip. I will rather die. With luck, said William. Miss Gregg took the two boys in the hallway and hugged them. Don't worry, she said. I can manage. It's all off. Very fun, and you won't even know the difference. Lovely slobberger, delicious hamburger. Oh no, cried William. Never, says Philip. Disgusting, says Miss Gregg. Just a before we have wings. We didn't have to eat bits of food. We shall eat apples instead. Our trees are full of them. Come on. So they flew off to an apple tree. But to eat an apple with one hand, it's in your hands is not as easy. Every time we try to get your tails to it, it just pulls away. In the end, they were able to get a few small bits each. And then it began to get dark. So they all flew back to the nest and lay down to sleep. I must have been to at about this time. I back in my own house, picked up the telephone and tried to call Philip. I waited to see if the family was all right. Hello, it says. Quack, says the voice at the other end. Who is it? I asked. Quack, quack. Philip, I said. Is that you? Quack, 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 quack. Oh, stop it, I said. And then there was a very funny noise. It was like a bird laughing. I put on the telephone quickly. Oh, that's Magic Finger, I cried. What has this done to my friends? That night, well, Mr. and Mrs. Gregg and Philip and William were trying to get some sleep up. In the high nest, a great wind began to blow. The tree rocked down the sides to sides, and everyone, even Mr. Gregg, was afraid that the nest would fall down. Then came the rain. It rained and rained, and the water ran into the nest, and they all got as what as could be. And oh, it was a bad night. At last, the morning came, and with it, the warm sun. Well, says Mr. Gregg, thank goodness I never wanted to sleep in the nest again. You guys can look at the light. Help, Mr. Gregg, look down there. What is this, my love? Says Mr. Gregg. He took up and peeped over inside. He got the surprise of his life. The ground below them stood a full enormous duck, and tall as a man. And there of them were holding guns in their hands. One had Mr. Gun, one had Billy Gun, and one had William Gun. The guns were all pointing right at the nest. No, 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 called Mr. and Mrs. Gray, both together. Don't shoot, please don't shoot. Why not? Says one of the ducks. It was the one who was holding a gun. You are always shooting at us. Oh, but that's not the same, says Mr. Gregg. We are allowed to shoot ducks. Who allows you? Asked the duck. We allowed each other, says Mr. Gregg. Very nice, says the duck. And now we are going to do our allows each other to shoot you. I would have loved to have seen Mr. Gregg face it now. Oh, please, cried Mr. Gregg. My two little children are up here with us. You wouldn't shoot my children. Yesterday you shoot my children, says the dog. You shoot all 6 of my children. I'll never do it again, cried Mr. Gregg. Never, never, never. Do you really mean it? Asked the dog. I do mean it, says Mr. Gregg. I'll never shoot another duck as long as I live. That is not good enough, says the dog. What about this? I'll do anything you say. If you will only put down this gun, cried Mr. Gregg. I'll never shoot another duck, another deer, or anything else again. What you gave me was to death, says the duck. I will, says Mr. Gregg. Will you throw away your guns, asked the duck. I will break them into tiny pieces, says Mr. Gregg. And never again need you to be afraid of me or my family. Very well, says the duck. You may now come down. And by the way, I congratulate you on the nest. For the first inference, it's pretty good. Mr. and Mrs. Gregg and Philip and William hopped out of the nest and down. Then, all at once, everything was black before their eyes, and they couldn't see. At the same time, a funny feeling comes over them all, and they heard a great wind blowing in the air. Then the black ones before their eyes turns blue, the green, the red, and then a gold. And suddenly, there they were standing in lovely bright sunshine in their own garden, near their own house. And everything was back to normal once again. Our wings have gone, cried Mr. Gregg, and our arms have come back. And we were not tiny anymore, laughed Miss Gregg. Oh, I am so glad. Philip and William began dancing about with joy. Then, high above their heads, they heard the sound of wild ducks. They all looked up. They saw the four birds, lovely against the blue sky, flying very close together, heading back to Lake Dales. It must have been about half an hour later that I myself there in the goose garden. I had come to see how things were going, and I must admit I was expecting the worst. And I stopped and stared. It was a queer sight. In one corner, Mr. Greek was smashing all 3 guns into tiny pieces with a huge hammer. In other corner, Mrs. Greek was planting beautiful flowers, often 60 tiny mounds of soil, which I learned later were the graves of the ducks that had been shot the day before. And in the middle of the yard, William and William, with the thank of their father, dastardly beside them. They were surrounded by ducks, doves, pigeons, sparrows, ravens, larks, and many other kinds that I did not know. And the birds were eating the barley. The boys were barley that the boys were scattering by a handful. "Good morning, Mr. Greek," I says. Mr. Greek lowered his hammer and looked at me. "My name is not Greek anymore," he says. "In honor of my forward friends, I have changed it from Greek to Egg." "And I am Miss Egg," says Mrs. Greek. "What's happened?" I asked. They seemed to have gone completely dead. A four of them. William and William then began to tell me that whole story. Then they were finished. William said, "Look! That's a nest. Can you see it? Right up in the top of the tree. That's where you slept last night." "I built it all myself," Mr. X said proudly. "Every stick of it." "If you don't believe us," Mrs. X says, "just go into the house and take a look at the bathroom. It's a mess. They fill the top right off the burn." Philip says, "They must have been swimming around in it all night, and feathers everywhere. Ducks like water," Mr. Egg says. "And I'm glad they had a good time." Just then, from somewhere over by the lake, there comes a loud bang. "Someone's shooting!" I cried. "That'll be John Cover," Mr. X says. Him and his 3 boys were shooting mad. Those couples are the whole family. Suddenly, I started to see red. Then I got very hot all over. Then a tip of the finger began to tingle most terribly. I could feel the power blowing up and up inside me. I turned and started running towards the lake as fast as I could. "Hey, Mr. N, what's up? Where are you going?" "To find the couples," I called back. "But why?" "You wait and see," I said. They'll be nesting in the tree tonight. Every one of them. The end.